Several years ago, the staff of the Kruger National Park and Game Reserve in South Africa had an elephant problem. A good problem. The population of elephants had outgrown the limits of the park, so measures had to be taken to thin the ranks. They didn't want to undertake a cull, of course, so their plan was to relocate some of the elephants to other parks. In order to transport animals as big as elephants, the rangers settled on building a special harness to carry them one by helicopter. I think there was a movie about that or something. It turned out, though, that the harness was not strong enough to lift the adult male elephants. They were too big. They were only able to lift the young male elephants and the adult females. The rangers decided that would probably be good enough, and they went ahead. And it seemed like the problem was solved. At Kruger National Park, the herd was thinned without resorting to killing elephants. But then a strange problem cropped up at Pilanesberg National Park, where the elephants had been transported. Rangers there began finding the dead bodies of endangered white rhinos. The initial suspicion was poachers, until they noticed that the rhinos appeared to have been stabbed, not shot, and that their horns, the usual target of poachers, were untouched. The rangers set up hidden cameras throughout the park to solve the mystery. And after reviewing the footage, they were astounded to find that the rhinos had been killed by marauding bands of young male elephants who had been relocated from the other park. The young males were caught on camera chasing down the rhinos, knocking them over and killing them with their tusks, as well as terrorizing other animals in the park. The rangers were astounded because such behavior is unheard of in elephants, who rarely attack other animals, especially not in packs in such a manner. They thought about it and puzzled, and realized that what had been missing from the relocated herd was the presence of the mature adult male elephants that had been at the first park. In natural circumstances, the adult male elephants are a stabilizing influence on the young ones as they experience the elephant equivalent of puberty. In the absence of their natural mentors, they went out of control in a destructive fashion. In response, the rangers built a bigger and stronger harness capable of transporting the bull elephants. And once the adult bull elephants were in the new park, the strange and violent behavior of these younger elephants stopped within weeks. And in time, these young elephants grew into mature adults as well. What is there to learn from this story in human terms? One implication that I find fascinating and provocative is that many of the problems we ascribe to out-of-control masculinity might be more accurately ascribed to a lack of genuinely mature adult masculinity. This is an idea that I think deserves more consideration. More generally, we could say that whether we're talking about elephants or human beings, there are certain things that need to happen, certain conditions that need to be in place for a major life transition to go well. Major life transitions are inevitable, whether it's birth, death, puberty, or any of the other familiar experiences that propel us from one stage of life into another. But it's just as possible for them to go off the rails as it is for them to be experiences of growth. In order for things to go well, we need mentors and a community who sees us both for who we are and for who we are becoming. In our Unitarian Universalist communities, it's common for us to offer a religious education program called Coming of Age around the time of early adolescence, around 13 years or so. I did one back in the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa in the 1990s. Back then, it was called Growing Up Year. And looking back, I feel like it was really false advertising to imply that growing up can be done in 1 year. I was fortunate to have an excellent mentor who I remained connected to throughout my teen years and beyond, and I did learn something about myself in the process. Having any kind of community-supported coming-of-age ritual is uncommon in contemporary society, and those of us who have had one are blessed. And yet, there's a bigger picture as well. Bill Plotkin spent years guiding rites of passage in the wilderness for adults and said that one day, it became evident to me that the day-by-day process of personal growth was a much bigger factor in maturation than the ritual marking of passages between stages, and that a rite of passage effected a true developmental shift only for people whose earlier life experiences prepared them for it. Even more importantly is how to make space for a changed person, a more mature, more powerful person on the other side. It's really the essence of a real initiation or a rite of passage. I sometimes wonder if in our communities we offer coming of age too soon. We tell children and youth that they have come of age, but they are still legally considered minors, not really invested with the full power to make autonomous decisions about their own lives. They are not even legally allowed to be members of our congregations. To tell a 12 or 13-year-old that they have come of age, but still have to go to school and do what they're told all the time for another 5 or 6 years doesn't fit. It's not enough to do rites of passage. We have to have a world where an initiated person can fully express their gifts. The same can be said for adults. You could go to a weekend rite of passage ceremony or even a grueling and intensive month-long survival adventure, and it may be genuinely transformative. But what happens when you come back? Does your family, community, or your job make space for you to express this? If not, then it risks being empty ritual. Plotkin identifies 3 stages to a life stage passage. There's separation from the old stage or status, transition when you have no status or indeterminate status, and incorporation when you embody and live into your new place. In our culture, it seems that we value certainty, so we want to go straight from one status to another or from one story to another. We don't want to let go of one identity until we can be fully competent in taking on the new one. There's this dynamic, precarious shifting of gravity, and that's where we need community to hold us in those vulnerable in-between times, like the hermit crab that has shed its old shell and has not yet found a new one. Malidoma Somé offers a fascinating take on the nature of initiation by comparing and contrasting his Western education and his indigenous Dagara education. He says that Western rites of passage, such as graduations, tend to give the message that you have accomplished something difficult and are now free to enjoy the powers and privileges of this new status. On the other hand, he says that his teachers and elders in Burkina Faso gave him a different message. Essentially, they said, now that you've passed through the trials and tribulations of this stage, you are now eligible for more advanced forms of trouble. Good luck. And reflecting on the perceived lack of ritual initiation in Western culture, he says, actually, the issue for Westerners is not so much the absence of initiation as it is the absence of a community to recognize initiatory passages. Whether it's birth, marriage, the birth of a child, or less welcome events such as serious illness, addiction, losing a job, the end of a relationship, or the death of a loved one, life provides many experiences which serve to catapult us from one state of being and identity into another. Whether we're able to capitalize on the transformative power of these events depends not only on our own abilities, but on whether or not we are surrounded by people who truly can witness what is happening to us, and especially to hold us in that tender in-between time until we find new ground. Somé says that our own confirmation or acknowledgement of ourselves is not enough. I find this provocative because we're so often told, march to the beat of your own drum, persevere even if nobody around you believes in you. And while this may be a necessary and admirable quality at times, we deeply need to be witnessed and acknowledged. This can be hard to admit. We may see it as a sign of weakness to need external approval, but I think that may be who we are as social animals. And rites of passage are one of those things that allow us to be witnessed. I recently had the opportunity to be part of a powerful ritual witnessing a life transition. My older sister asked me to help her officiate a ceremony in honor of her recent and ongoing journey. It was a potent mix of contemplation, celebration, and grief, in that it paid tribute to her process of coming out as a transgender woman, finally graduating from high school, and moving on from being defined by a serious illness that forced her to undergo 5 major surgeries in 2 years. It featured testimonies from family and friends, the reading of her own poetry, sharing of her favorite songs, and just the right mix of irreverent humor when she took out a pair of scissors and ritually destroyed leftover medical supplies that she no longer needs. It ended with a laying on of hands and singing a blessing to her as she moves forward into a new phase in her life, surely to still have her ups and downs, but also with a decisive sense of leaving something behind. The feeling was palpable. My opinion is biased, of course, because she's my sister and I helped craft the ceremony, but several people present said that it was one of the most powerful rituals they'd ever been a part of. It felt like a combination of a wedding, funeral, graduation, coming of age, birthday party, and something I can't quite put my finger on. It was magic because it was a community gathered spontaneously to honor and witness a person moving to a new stage on their journey. I would have liked to bottle some of the energy in that room that day and offer it as medicine to everyone, young or old, who is in the midst of life transition. Perhaps especially those life transitions that are not easily recognized as such. So that is my hope today. May this story be medicine for you as you navigate the transitions in your own life, the ones that are publicly seen, grieved, and celebrated, and the ones that unfold quietly over time within your soul. May you be witnessed and held in the space in between. Amen and blessed be.
Thank you.